Hey guys, it's Brent from Dark Force Custom Sabers here again today with another video. Today I'm going to do a really quick and dirty Proffie programming video. I've gotten some questions and some emails from clients and customers asking, hey, how do I access my board? You know, it's a little confusing. I can totally understand that. So this will hopefully help alleviate some of that confusion and answer some questions. Of course, it's also applicable to anybody who owns a Proffieboard, whether you get it from me or not. I don't make the Proffies myself. I just assemble sabers and kits and all that cool jazz. But say you had a saber or a board or a kit or somebody from somebody else and you wanted to access that, this will help you with that as well. So, or at least I hope it will. Getting into it, you'll need a Mac or PC, ideally Windows 10, yada, yada, yada. I think the latest Mac, what is it, Mac Big Sur or whatever? Yeah, most modern stuff usually should work fine to my knowledge. I don't use Mac, so I'm not the guy to ask there, unfortunately. To my knowledge, everything has worked great thus far, but I'm using a Windows 10 PC here and it works great. You have your computer, you have your board and your saber or your kit or whatever else have you. Now, I'd like to also say most Proffies, whether you get them from me, and most retailers that offer Proffie systems will include on the SD card the config file for whatever saber, build, kit is included. Usually we include a copy of the config file on the SD card. So always check there. If you don't find one there, always you can email whomever you got your board from, and most people are pretty happy to give you the config file. I don't know many sticklers who are like, no, whatever. So if it's not there, just email whomever is you got your kit from. Now that that's out of the way, you will need an USB data cable. Usually you can see well, it's kind of hard to see on this camera, but there's 4 pins that are usable. You don't want one that only has like 2 or whatever. Get a proper data cable. Get them off Amazon pretty cheap if you don't have them laying around. Pretty simple, self-explanatory stuff there. So you have all that in place. Let's go over software really quick. First, foremost, we're going to go to Frederick's Proffie OS site and we're going to download the software. This is the latest version as of this video, 5.9. You can see you can download all the older versions of the Proffie OS to your leisure right here. Quite nice, quite handy. Some things that are very helpful, this web page in general, download your software there, and it will download normally to your downloads folder or wherever you have that directory set. And up at the top here, he gives you a list of all the things that you need, basically everything that we're listing in this video, right? You're going to click on the Arduino IDE link here, and it'll take you to the Arduino website. You could try the newer versions, they might work great for you, but I'd usually take Frederick's advice and run the older version 1.83. But I can also confirm, at least on Windows 10 PCs, at least my Windows 10 PC, the IdeaPad Flex here in Lenovo, 1.8.12 works great as well. So once you download that, install Arduino IDE, and I'm going to minimize this window here. I'm actually just going to go ahead and download version 5.9 right here, latest version as of this video, and then I'm going to show in folder. I'm going to unzip this, and I'm going to double click into that folder that we just unzipped, and we're going to find that Proffie OS file right here, right? And then here we go into this actual Proffie OS download file directory. You can see there's all these different files here. We're not going to worry about all of those. We're just going to worry about the one called config. The infamous config folder, yes. This is where all the action happens. And these are where all your default config files are at. You can modify some of these, play with them, add your own in, whatever. But in our case, we're going to take our USB cable, plug ourselves into our board here. We'll hear the boot sound. That's good sound. Sometimes you'll get that, not all the time. Sometimes if it's the first time with a board that's not connected to anything, you won't obviously hear that. But if you get a board from me or other retailers, normally that's normal. And we're going to take this config file that I was talking about earlier. We're just going to copy that. Yours will be named something different, but no worries. You get the gist. And I'm going to come back over here to that Proffie OS the whatever version that we download. In this case, we're going to use 5.9, and I'm going to paste that in there. Okay, so this is my config file right now. Reborn Saber config. Yours will be named something different. If I double click on that, you can see all the information in here, from the blade profiles to the settings, volume, how many buttons. You know, in this case I'm using 2 buttons, 1800 as my volume. You know, you have some defines here, whatever else have you. You can add and take away to your leisure and tweak all you want. I know Fernando on the open source boards, he has on Facebook, he makes sweet custom blade profiles, and he's doing more development with Proffie. He's one of the best out there. Props to that guy. Go give him some love, man. If you need some blade profiles and stuff, you know, he's your man for that. But anyways, coming down here, if you needed to adjust pixel density or how many pixels are in the blade, in this case I'm using 129 pixels in my blade. If you're using a kit from me, usually it's 114, so if you're using a kit but a different blade from a different manufacturer, you'd put in whatever pixel amount that blade has, and then come up here, hit save, and then exit out config. And that's all you have to do on that config, quick and dirty. You can go far more in depth in there if you'd like, but that's out of the scope of this video. From there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this, and we're going to go back into Arduino. I'm going to open this up, and when you first open Arduino, it should look something like this. I'm going to go to File, Open, and then it'll open up on the Arduino folder. We're going to go to our libraries and find our downloads, or wherever your Proffie OS is downloaded. I always keep mine in the downloads, but you can obviously put that anywhere as long as Arduino can read that. I'm going to be using 5.9. I'm going to scroll all the way down and find the Proffie OS for this OS, and I'm going to hit open. And this is going to open up a new tab. Just maximize that and you're good to go. So here we go. We have all this. This is where we're going to pay some attention here, because we have this define here, and it's a little bit different color. It's not commented out, if you will. What we're going to do is we're going to take this name here and we're going to switch that with the name of the file, the actual config that we just edited or that we wanted to use. So in this case, we open this up. Mine's reborn underscore saber underscore config. I can leave that config.h at the bottom there, and the config / at the top, because that is the designation. Just copy that name there. There we have it. I have another config in there, spelled out. Didn't need that in there, so just took that out. Okay, so now it's config / the name of my file. Now that that's done, got to make sure that that's on point. You're going to want to go up to Tools, and first things first, you're going to want to go to Board Type. If you're using an older Proffie, you'll go just for the standard Proffieboard. If you're using the newest Proffie 2.2, which is really the only one available on the market for the most part, you'd use Proffieboard version 2, Teensy for Teensy, etc. When version 3 comes out of Proffieboard, there might be another board type that you have to download, that, you know, Proffieboard version 3. Simple enough, but just to clarify, that's a ways out in the future. Important to note, USB type, I keep mine on serial plus mass storage plus web USB. I believe you can use serial plus mass storage if you wanted to, but this is just more encompassing. I leave that as that, 80 CPU speed, smallest code, and then this is important, very important, the port. This is already selected. If this is your first time doing this, it might be unselected, or if you've restarted your computer, this will be unselected, but always make sure that there's a COM port that is selected. In this case, mine's COM port 3. It will be different every time, typically. Okay, at that point, you're plugged in, you have all your settings, you're ready to go. Hit verify and give it a second to load. Cool. Now you can bring this little dialog box up. If this verification was a success, you'll see Sketch uses this amount of bytes, which is in this case 86% of the program storage space. We're ready to go. Click upload. Now a little word here, sometimes this can be finicky. Most of the time it goes pretty smooth. Sometimes, and you'll see once it starts popping up here, and that's usually a good sign that it starts going. I'll show you here in just a second. Okay, you hear that sound, you see it's actually starting to initialize the downloading or the uploading to the board. This is good. But you'll see sometimes as it goes, it might stop at a certain percentage and then it'll give you an error. Sometimes just by reinitializing the upload 2 or 3 times, it'll redo it and it'll go fine. Doesn't normally happen, but if you do encounter that, that's one workaround that I find works for me. Again, you shouldn't probably have to worry about that, but if it does, that's one way. And you can kind of keep up with this progress here if you want. Just give it a minute and let it do its thing. Cool. And then you hear that sound, that's a good sound. You look, all right, download done, everything's successful. That's what we want to hear, right? Cool. At that point, we can just exit out of Arduino. You don't need that up anymore. And I'm just going to right click, hit eject. Cool. And then I can unplug the USB cable from my computer, from my board. Boom. That's how you do it. Simple as that.
Smooth Jedi.
I'll do some selfless promo. Hyperflow, yeah? Cool. There you go. You've successfully programmed your Proffie saber or your Proffieboard, depending on if it's in an assembled state or not. You can do it either way, but that is how you guys do it. Again, if you have any questions, there's multiple areas where you can get answers for that. The Proffieboard user forum is one. Of course, you can always email me. I can do my best to help you out there. I know Frederick, he has his Crucible forum, a really cool place. Very cool, awesome stuff. Proffie communities, wonderful community. I hope it was helpful to some of you. That'll be all from me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care.